What is going on, football fans? Welcome to another edition of Player Interviews presented by Inside the Hashes. My name is Juan Guarin-Camargo, and today I'm speaking with NFL 2021 draft prospect Shemar Jean-Charles, senior cornerback out of Appalachian State. Shemar and I sat down and really dove deep into his obsessive knowledge for the game of football, his work into creating a diverse environment for black students and athletes on campus, and just a little bit of Miami Heat trivia to boot. With all that being said, let's jump in.
Perfect. Denzel, that's my favorite actor, him and Will Smith. So.
What would you say is like your favorite movie of all time? I know you said Friday is like your favorite movie, but is there like, one that like really stands out from you outside of it?
Oh man, if I had to choose one, I'll probably say Transformers, the first one.
Really?
Very first one.
Wow, man, I've never heard that answer before. Not gonna lie to you.
Transformers was, come on now, during the time when that first came out, that was. When that hit the market, it was crazy.
What do you think about like that new Transformers dinosaur movie that came out a couple years back?
Oh yeah, I like that too. I love all the Transformers. I like how they all go together. It was different, but some people might say they were kind of doing too much. But you know what I'm saying? I ain't really complaining. I still liked it.
Would you say Michael Bay's a good director?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a hot take in cinema circles, my man. I'll tell you that. So, first thing I want you to do for me, man, is, I know you pride yourself a lot in your knowledge of football and everything about the aspect of the game. I want you to kind of take a look at yourself as through the lenses of a scout and kind of break yourself down for me objectively. Evaluate yourself as best as you can.
I'm a defensive back, but I feel like I could be expendable anywhere on the field. You could place me where needed. I am a player who takes pride in studying the game of football, not just playing it. I feel like I understand the level of the game as though I was a coach. I take pride in the details that I put towards my preparation. Unlike I feel like a lot of guys, it takes them time to adapt to being serious about their preparation to the point where you could say, you prepare like a pro. And I feel like that's where I've excelled at since, I first began playing football. A lot of my colleagues, friends, you could say are already guys that play in the NFL. So, I train around them. I be around them in the off season. They teach me, different techniques, just give me different nuggets, that I would need while playing at the college level, that could put me ahead of my game and that could help me, just above the competition. I started playing football around 5 years old, man. I started early. Funny fact, a lot of guys don't know I played O-line and D-line all the way up to high school, like I said, football's real big here in South Florida. So, we start real early and, it goes all the way up to around 14 years old. That's when they usually cut off and it's mandatory for you to go to high school. So I didn't play my 9th grade season. My 9th grade, I was still playing at the park, but that was my very first year playing any skill position. Got to high school, played JV at Miramar High, began playing safety, actually. Didn't play any corner, played safety and special teams. And just learned how to play defensive back. Got my feet wet, playing in the secondary, moved up to varsity my 11th grade year. Had to sit behind 2 All-Americans, kind of similar to my situation at App State. That's why I always preach, God works in mysterious ways because it's kind of similar situations from high school to college. Had to sit behind 2 All-Americans. I was third corner rotation, played a little bit of nickel, mainly a special teams guy. Came in if anything happened to one of those 2 guys. Eventually took over the starting spot in high school. Was voted a team captain, sort of similar to App State. Took over. Believe it or not, my recruiting wasn't very high. Had a couple schools, but by signing week, they all pulled back. And I only had App State and Bowling Green to choose from. Bowling Green located in Ohio. And, I got recruited by Frank Ponce. He's now back with App State as the OC. He was a quarterbacks coach at the time. Real big influence here in the South Florida area. Knows a lot of the guys. Previously worked at FIU before he got to App State. When he linked up with Coach Satterfield up there, built the relationship with Coach Ponce, came up the week of signing week. And earlier that week, I took a last minute visit up to App State, and ended up committing there on the spot. And I, The rest was history after that. Got to App State. It was a big difference for me coming from South Florida, where for one it's hot year round. Just being around different demographics of people, and then going to a small rural town in the high country, where it's basically barricaded by mountain ridges all around, and it was a different environment for me living wise. I'm the first person to go to college and graduate from my family, so that's something that I hold dearly to myself. I graduated this past December with 2 business degrees, one in business marketing and one in business management. Back to App State, just got up there. Kind of same similar situation. I was redshirted, had to sit behind 2 All-Americans. Every year we had 2 All-American corners at App State, and I had to sit behind them my first 3 seasons, actually. Redshirt freshman, sophomore, and 2 seasons. Took over the starting spot my junior year. Previous to that, I was mainly a special teams guy again. Was the third corner, played in the nickel, dime, and money packages. Played on the inside, outside. It was really matchup based with a lot of our schemes when we went in those packages. But yeah, I mainly played all phases of special teams. Took over the starting spot and had a pretty good junior year, and then senior year, things worked out pretty well, and I had a pretty good senior year.
You basically just knocked out 10 of my questions in one. So.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. Your whole journey is something out of a movie. That it kind of like the progression of how you got to where you are today, that we're going to touch a little bit more about later. When breaking down like you as a player, like I'm kind of wanting to hear more about like how you consider yourself as a corner base. Like I know that some corners, they're more well fitted in man-to-man situations, shadow a guy the whole time, while other corners are more well suited for covering one side of the field. Where do you kind of feel like you land in either category?
Oh yeah. So a testament to, for one, my coaches, coaching staff, defense coordinators, position coaches, Coach James Rowe, Coach Brown, Coach Cheese, Charlie Harbison. I had 3 different corner coaches while I at App State, 3 different coaching staffs. They exposed us to a lot of different coverages, played a lot of man, played a lot of zero, played 1 high, 2 high, cover 3, cover 7, cover 9, cover 5. We played it all at App State, Tampa too. So I feel like I was able to, for one, be exposed to a lot of different coverages, understand the weaknesses of a lot of different coverages, be able to be expendable to play in different positions. With that being said, just having a testimony to, my preparation, my football intelligence, just being able to play in those different positions. So I feel like I could excel in all different phases. I feel like I could play off-man coverage. I played a lot. I showed a lot of press man on film this year. Being able to play physical at the line, I know is real important. It disrupts routes. It disrupts timing with the quarterback. Having faith in my D-line, understanding where my help is at when there is help, and then understanding that I have to win my one-on-ones when I'm by myself. Just being able to mix it up with the quarterback. Understand that we at the college level, so not every quarterback is the same. Especially compared to the pros. So showing pre-snap different looks and then getting into something else once the ball snaps is something that, helped me a lot this year. Just playing games with the quarterback, offensive coordinators, keep them on their toes because, the game is evolving. OCs, they watch everything that you do. That sometimes they're able to tell. I could tell sometimes watching film, watching the other teams, what they're about to do, based off of, safety alignment, their linebackers alignment, just giving me a small key. So that's just something that, of course, our coaching staffs implemented a lot, is just being able to move pre-snap, but also not putting ourselves in positions where we can't make the play, being in the position that we're supposed to be in. And I feel like with what we did at App State, I was able to excel in all different types of formations and coverages. So
6 different coordinators in 7 years. So the amount of coverages you just listed, I can't imagine having to go through that much turnover and that much, change in scheme. Like, what do you attribute your ability to adapt in what could be detrimental for other players' developments? How are you able to adapt to that?
Oh man, like I said, just studying football. I say this a lot and I tell scouts this a lot. I feel like a lot of guys, what works for them works for them. A lot of guys play football. Like, they play football, they'll watch it, but I feel like there's a fine line between the guys that actually watch the game and guys that actually study football. I feel like I'm one of those guys that I consider myself another coach on the field in the way I analyze pre-snap and post-snap, and just being able to use what I know to help myself make those plays that I was able to make. I feel like I take that very serious in my keen detail and how I watch film, what I watch. I don't just watch to see what receivers do. I see how they do it, when they try to do it, when on the field that they like to do this, based off of formations, down and distance, the OC understanding what he liked to do, throughout the year. But, at App State, we ran a particular scheme that wasn't really common in our conference and really around the country. A lot of teams don't really run our scheme and our variants and how we run it. So just understanding how teams will possibly try to attack us is something that gave me an edge, while playing, understanding that, our team is a little different. So teams won't attack us similar to what they'll attack another team. So
you bring up like your knowledge of the game a lot and how you emphasize studying it so much. I kind of want to test you a little bit. So I kind of have like something written up here that I want to kind of test you on. I'll just bring it up. So let me take you back to the NFC Divisional Championship, a divisional round between the Packers and the Rams, right? Third and goal, Rams on defense, Packers on offense. You have Devontae Adams motioning left to right out of bunch.
I know which play you're talking about.
And then ball snapped, Rodgers, quick throw on the flat route to Devontae Adams. You had Jalen Ramsey in man coverage, shadowing the guy the whole time. Easy touchdown. Mm-hmm. Whose fault was that?
Man, for one, they should have understood with that formation. I understand that they gave that look previous that year from what I've seen and what I watched on TV. And if you repeat the next week when they played the Bucks covered it pretty well because they passed it off, It looked like they were supposed to pass it off with him coming outside with that right now motion. Whoever had that outside leverage, and I understand that there was a slot corner pressed up on the point man. So I'm guessing with that short motion, I understand that he could possibly come out, that he was supposed to switch his leverage to outside and Jalen would take the inside guy. Understand that that's something that they like to do. Just watching how they compare to how Tampa played it the next week, even they understood that it was coming, and you could tell. The corner and the safety had pre-snap communication. And it was Carlton Davis on that side who covered it. He's a South Florida guy too, so I watch him a lot. And as soon as the receiver took off Devontae Adams, with that short motion, he pointed to his safety and told him, and I'm guessing he told him if he goes all the way, you guys bump it over. So we'll call that spin at App State. So we'll spin it. And if he comes back, then I'll buy it. And if you see, Carlton Davis didn't overrun it. He stayed within the box, right outside the frame of the formation, right outside that outside point guy. As soon as that short motion came back, he took it away, and Rodgers had to throw that through the back of the end zone. So
no way do you blame Jalen Ramsey for the play breaking down the way it did.
Man, I wasn't in the film room that week, so I can't really blame anybody on that. But I'll just say, depending on what the game plan was that week, whoever was supposed to buy that outside leverage of the formation and take whoever comes outside first, whether you banjo, that's what a lot of teams call it, banjo, where you pass guys off. You take the first guy coming to wherever leverage that you're at, just switching off and passing it off instead of getting rubbed, to avoid getting rubbed off and stuff like that, especially in the red zone. With that formation too, I wasn't in the film room that week, so I wouldn't know who to quote unquote blame. But obviously it could have been a little bit better communication on whether the game plan was to eliminate that formation. Eliminate that play, because they ran it a couple of times previous that year too. For what I've seen on TV.
And I know that you're originally based in Miramar. Are you a Dolphins fan by any chance?
Man. And so I grew up, watching the Dolphins. I had to watch the Dolphins. That was the only game really on TV in our area. So I went to a couple Dolphin games, went to a couple games. And I ended up, I was a big Ravens fan growing up. I was a big Ed Reed fan as well. I like watching all teams, so I'm really a fan of every team. But I always had a fond love for the Ravens growing up. I was a big Ed Reed and Ray Lewis fan. Jacoby Jones, all those guys, man. Steve Smith when he came and played for us for a little bit. I love watching them. Those guys was, they were hard nosed, and they were Miami guys for the most part. They all with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and I just like the way they analyzed the game. How hard Ray Lewis worked something that I try to implement with myself, and just how smart Ed Reed was on the field. Being able to play games with the quarterback is something that I tried to apply to myself. So
I know that your Ravens fandom also extends specifically because they always had so many great DBs. You had Jimmy Smith, Marlon Humphrey, but also, like you said, you admire Patrick Peterson, Buda Baker, Tre'Davious White. If you could take a skill or something from each of those corners that you would want to apply to your own game or have been trying to, what would you take away into and put it into yourself?
oh man, the league is filled with a bunch of great corners, but I feel like as a quote unquote aspiring to be the top guy, especially at the next level, you gotta want to take the small things and learn from everybody else, whether it's their mistakes and what they're real good at from what you see with your two eyes. And of course you see Marlon Humphreys, the way he's able to attack the ball and how physical he's at the point of the ball, having all those forced fumbles, and something you want to take from him. Tre'Davious White, his feet is excellent at the line. He uses his hands. He's able to mix up his press technique, mixing with his feet and his hands. Good hand-eye coordination. Marcus Peters, his football intelligence is something that I feel like is underrated. Marcus Peters, he's from all the guys that I've been around. They all say the same thing, that he's like one of the smartest football intelligent guys that they've ever came across. And the media says one thing, but when it comes to football, he shows up, and it's like his football's intelligence, what he's able to read and how he reads offenses is second to none from what I hear. And you could tell by all the interceptions that he's able to get. Just being in the right spot and playing games with the quarterback. Buda Baker, of course, he's real physical, not afraid to tackle. He's not the biggest defensive back, but you're gonna feel him at the end of the day. He, like he says all the time, no fear. And that's something that, I try to apply to myself as well. I already had that. I feel like I already have that inside of me. I fear nobody once I play on the field. Once I get between the lines, it's a physical sport. You can't go out there scared, especially playing my position. You got to have confidence out there, especially when you're by yourself sometimes. And understanding that game's on you every play. Team can have a great game and you can mess up one play, and look, everybody remembers the one play you messed up. So you got to be on your 10 toes every play. Yeah, so many great DBs out there, but just taking those small nuggets from what they do, just trying to learn and then, incorporate it into how you play.
The way that you've progressed as a player for App State has kind of been like, it's like an underdog story, unlike any other. Started from like the red shirt from 2016 to an All-American in 2020, leading the nation in pass deflections and pass breakups, kind of rising to being a top tier prospect for this year's draft. There's two questions I want to ask here. First is, like, for typical football fans, some wouldn't understand the difference between a pass deflection and a pass breakup. What would you say is like separates the two? That's the first one. And then the second one is, what do you attribute your growth to through the Mountaineers process in the 5 years you've been there?
Oh, man, so if you ask me the difference, pass breakup, as a receiver going to catch the ball and, somehow I slap it down, causing an incompletion, getting to the ball. And I consider a pass deflection just more of, I would say you can include interceptions as well. So it's either those pass breakups or the interceptions as well. And I feel like they're included hand in hand from what I understand. And just to answer your second question, man, at App State, man, it's a lot of blue-collar coaches, a lot of blue-collar players. None of us are highly recruited. A lot of us, under-recruited guys. I was a 2-star coming out of high school. Only had 2 offers signing week, and I just had to work, man. A lot of the guys, we just love playing football. It's not a big town. There's not a lot of different distractions around the area, so it's really just mainly football and school up there. And we take a lot of pride in winning as well. So we don't just play to just have fun. We play to win. We weren't able to win a championship this last year, and even though we only lost 3 games, it just felt as if we had an unsuccessful season. But that's just the high standards it is around that area. And just with that being said, the fine detail that a lot of our coaches and my ex-teammates, we apply to the game is something that helped me develop as a player. Everything is earned up there. Like, they're not going to give you anything. You have to earn it. There has to be something about you that stands out from the next guy, because you're up there with a bunch of guys that are blue collar, hardworking guys. So you have to be an even harder worker. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just something that, you know, just being up there 5 years and just being able to really focus on the fine details of the game and, you know, with school and stuff like that is just something that really helped me develop to what I was able to do this past season.
You and Sean Jolly kind of became like this top quarterback duo in the nation, helping Mountaineers with 74 total pass deflections and allowing less than 50% catches throughout the whole season. When you and Sean kind of like became that tandem, did you take him under your wing and kind of guide him into growing as a player, or was he already well established by the time he got there and you were like in your sophomore season, I believe?
So one thing about Jolly, man, he's always been a smooth athlete. Always, man. Like, his feet are some of the fastest, quickest, and smoothest feet I've ever seen. Like, and it's not just him, man. Like, they put us as the tandems, quote unquote, you know, the face of, you know, our secondary. But there's so many other guys like Caden Smith, upcoming senior safety this year, came on the spot, you know, took that starting role, and just, man, one of my favorite players to ever play next to, you know, Caden, Ryan Huff. You know, we have a bunch of young guys, man. Tommy Wright coming up, playing corner. Steven Jones, another good corner. Nick Ross. I could just keep naming them all. But yeah, man, we work hard. And the one thing about us, man, we just all competitive. We're super competitive, man. We like to compete against each other, and we like to compete against the opposition. Like, that's what we say, the opposition. So whoever's not in our room, we're going to give you the best we got. But just to answer your question, man, Sean, well, I call him Jolly. I don't ever call him Sean, but Jolly, man, that's my boy. It's never been a thing where I just took him under my wing. You know, he kind of already had that dog in him. You know, he plays hard. You know, for his size, he's not afraid to stick his nose in there. He's not afraid to have that big matchup against the top receivers. You know, like we said, corner's hard, man. That's not an easy position, but it's fun. You know, it's the most unique position in all the sports, in my opinion. You know, because you have no knowledge of what the man across from you is doing, and you have to make plays moving backwards, you know? So I feel like it's one of the most unique positions in all the sports. But yeah, with that being said, man, it's never been a situation where I had to take him under my wing. It was just more, you know, he pushes me, I push him. Now let's go out here and let's make plays together, man. And at the end of the day, you know, that was what, from my perspective, was the most important thing between me and him. You know, it's
that chemistry and that leadership that kind of separates you as like a top tier intangible player, to say the least, because you carry yourself in such a high regard, and that you excel to be the best and try to bring that example to your team. And it's not just on the field that you show that, but it's off the field too. And I noticed that when I was doing a little bit of my research, and I found that you guys, not you guys exactly, but you were part of a movement that started the Black Student Athletic Association over in Appalachian State. Can you kind of like tell me, like, when I know you touched a little bit about like not that much diversity at App State when you first got there, what kind of led you to start this organization, and what is it that you provide for minority communities within App State, especially for athletics?
That being said, man, the Black Student Athlete Association, it's a charter club, a group of us athletes. You know, it's about a group of on the executive board. It's about 6-7 of us, all different sports, women included. We all came together one night. We decided to come up with this, you know, with the help with a lot of our advisors, like Pierre Banks, another guy up there, one of our athletic advisors up there. And we came up with the idea, let's start the Black Student Athlete Association. It's basically a club that gives Black student athletes a voice, you know, a sense of unity up on the campus. We have one of the most least diverse campuses, you know, in the state, from my knowledge, and maybe even the country as well. And a lot of us minorities are, you know, just student athletes. You know, it's a different environment up there in Boone. Not a bad environment, but it's just different. You know, for a lot of people, I understood the challenges for me adapting, you know, when I first got up there, and having to deal with the difference in demographics and just situations from what I had coming from where I came from, my hometown. So just, just coming together and just giving us a voice. Which implemented different events. We come together a couple times a month and we just come up with ideas and different, like I said, events, different fundraisers that we can have. Just things that we could do to make the campus better overall. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with coming together to make the entire campus better, but also while giving us a voice at the same time. We're going through a lot of rough times right now. With that being said, a lot of us we're away from home. And mental health is something that is very important. So just giving people a sense of, openness, a group that you could come to with any of your problems, a group that's, in a situation where we could talk to school officials if we feel as if things need to be changed, if we feel as though things could be better around the campus. We are that voice. And it's not just me, but it's a group of us student athletes that came together with the idea, and it's been jumping off pretty good so far. So.
And that's something that I've seen, like, based on like what I've researched into it, that you put a lot of energy into and a lot of your time and a lot of work into kind of developing, similar to your football abilities and your knowledge. And, with regards to the game itself, you've given everything you could to it, your time, your body, your energy. So much so, even your mind is open to it, that you might as well be omniscient to the subject of football. So, you've given so much to the game. What do you want in the long run for the game to give back to you?
Oh, man. For one, man, when I look back, I sometimes just smile, man, because like you said, I've put almost my entire life into football. Everything I've never been really a big party guy, never been a guy that goes out a lot, always on the scene. I'm a real quiet guy, laid back. I like to, like I said, sit back, watch movies, and just relax. And but just looking back at what this sport has done, it's crazy. I just want what's happened to me to just be another testimony to whoever's out there trying to pursue the same things that is possible. Like, I wasn't the top recruit. I was always under recruited. I was never really allowed to play a skill position, when I could, until my 9th grade year. And even with that, I had to sit on the bench at first, and prove myself. But one thing that I always done was I pride myself in trying to outwork everybody else in the room, whether that's not just physical, but mentally as well. One thing that always stuck with me when I was younger, I had a coach at my Little League party, and he always told us, like, if you want to play, the smartest players always play. Regardless, the smartest players will always play. Of course, you got to have athletic ability. But once you get to the level where everybody is athletic, the smartest guys play, and they play the longest. So that's something that kind of always stuck with me, and I always wanted to be the smartest guy and the most physical guy in the room. Like you said, I'm not the biggest corner. I don't consider myself a small corner, but that's just me and my pride. But I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not the fastest, even though I'm not slow. I'm not the biggest, strongest, fastest guy. But I have good measurables, and I entrust in my own athletic ability, but also my mental edge over everybody else. Especially playing the position I play. But just having the game, just let my story be a testament for anybody else pursuing this. Like, technically, I'm still not in the NFL yet. So there's still way more. There's still a lot of work to do, and just showing the kids, whoever may be looking, not even kids, like the guys in college, that's trying to pursue this, that it's possible if you just work. Like, at the end of the day, everything doesn't have to be seen by everybody else, but at the end of the day, your play speaks the loudest. People will notice how you play. Even if you train behind the scenes in the shadows, and try to get better in the shadows. Like, once you play, people will take notice, and just let that come with the preparation that you put in.
Last question before we wrap up here. I know in my research, I saw that you were a Miami Heat fan. Obviously, coming from Miami, that's gotta happen hand in hand. And I let one of my guys here at Inside the Hashes know about it, and he's a major Heat fan. And he wanted me to pass along kind of a question to test your fanhood as a Miami Heat fan. So it's, what year was Dwayne Wade the highest paid Heat player on his team?
Ooh, the highest paid? Heat trivia. Would it have been the year after they won the championship?
No, it was never. He was never the highest paid player on the roster.
That's why he got traded. Yeah, him and Pat Riley fell out. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll let him know that you had a good run, but hey, I don't know that either. I'm not the biggest basketball guy personally. I'm more of a Bucks fan, but that's just me. But in any case, Shemar, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down with me and talk today. I really had a great time getting to know how dedicated your passion for football is, as well as for what you pursue off the field. I think a lot of the work that you're doing and you're pursuing is really good and beneficial, not just for yourself, but for the community as well. So I want to wish you nothing but the best, not just in your pursuit of the pro life, but also in your endeavors off the gridiron, man. I know that you got a great work ethic, and you're a prime example for a lot of guys and younger guys to follow. And I can't wait to see where your career goes, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to do this, man.
Again, a huge thanks to Shemar for taking the time to sit down and speak with me today. And I just want to go ahead and wish him, once again, nothing but the best going forward, not just in a football career, but anything that he pursues on and off the field, man. With your work ethic and dedication to your craft, I have nothing but confidence in that you'll be able to be successful in whatever you put your mind to. And remember, guys, for more football content like this, you can check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor, anywhere that you listen to audio podcasts. Inside the Hashes is definitely there. And also for our video work, you can check us out on TikTok at Inside the Hashes. You can check us out on YouTube and on our website, InsideTheHashes.com. You can also follow us on social media. On Facebook, we are Inside the Hashes, the football group. On Twitter, we are at Inside Hashes. And on Instagram, we are at Inside the Hashes. And guys, you want to talk football with us? We want to talk about it with you too. So go ahead and go join us on our Discord, guys. We talk about football at every level, at the high school level, at the college level, at the pro level, whether it's the draft, free agency, or anything else pigskin related. Inside the Hashes, we'll talk about it with you just as much as you want to talk about it with us. For player interviews and for Inside the Hashes, my name is Juan Guarin-Camargo. We'll see you next time.